Okay, can you afford to own a hearse? Okay, so the way that I get hearses and things like that is just by knowing funeral directors. And, this hearse was taken directly from a funeral home out in San Diego. And then it was taken out to out by here in Riverside, actually Colton. And there's a guy that had like 5 of these in his driveway. That he fixes up and he sells them. And I just come over and pick one out and roll it away. Now the guy that I bought them from, I don't know why. He's a teacher, and I don't know why he has all these hearses in his driveway or fixes them up and sells them and stuff like that. I think it's just there's a network of all these people that I know that are connected to the funeral industry, and they know how to get these cars for, I think, like free, and like also coffins for free and stuff like that. And then they just try to make money off of them, and all these guys know each other. So it's kind of this weird network that's going on. So people always ask me about, are they going to have to do a lot of work on these hearses when they get them? Is it going to cost them tons of money to keep it up? Are they going to have to fix all this stuff? Especially an old model like this. This one is a 91 Buick Roadmaster. So this car is 32 years old right now. So it's an old car. The speedometer is only at 116,000. So that's really low miles. Basically because these cars are only driven like at slow speeds for funeral processions. Sometimes they're used to pick up bodies at different places as well. And they're not being used every day, like once a week or something. And then personally, I put like maybe 5 miles a week on it and just drive to a drive-through in the middle of the night or something. So because it's low miles, and also the funeral homes generally upkeep these and they have money to pay for the maintenance on them, when you get them, especially if it's directly from a funeral home and not from like some guy that owned it and he didn't do any work on it and just let it run into the ground, then you're going to get a really good car that everything works on. And literally everything works on this car. There's nothing wrong with it, Being an old car, though, you never know when a part or something is going to break down. So it's best if you can do your own maintenance on these. This is like a GM OBDE2 or something like that code reader. So it does have a computer system. It does tell you when your lights come on the dash, and you can use this for your ABS system, which is like your braking system, or your engine system, to find out what's wrong, and then you just go replace a sensor or something like that. It's actually been really easy to work on this car, to my surprise, And down right there below the dash is where it plugs in. And it comes with a little manual that tells you, but also it's a good idea to get Chilton's if you're gonna own one of these, to do work on it yourself. And with an older car, if you don't work on it yourself, you're gonna be paying tons and tons of money. And some of these shops aren't even set up to work on older cars anymore. Now, as far as car insurance, that's another thing. Like, it only costs me, I'm paying $35 for my daily driver, and another $15 a month, only like $55 a month for liability on both of these cars. So it's really not a problem. It doesn't cost me a lot of money to own this car at all. Now, one thing that you have to do when you first buy the car is you have to make sure when you go to DMV, for them to convert it from commercial to auto. And that means basically that this is no longer a commercial vehicle for a funeral home. You're not using it for those purposes. You're only using it for a POV at this point, like personally owned vehicle. Now, if you don't, I don't remember the numbers, but I think it might be like $10,000 a year for insurance for a commercially owned vehicle, because they know that the funeral homes are making tons of money off of this vehicle. And so when people smell money, right, they're gonna go through the roof with their prices, you know. Now, if you convert it to POV, then it's no big deal. Like, I just pay $15 a month. And I tell them, hey, you know, I only drive like, you know, maybe like 20 miles a month or something. So for me, they're not charging much, but only if you convert it to auto from commercial. Very important. And also, your insurance company will call you up and they'll like really harass you about like whether, are you sure you're not using this for this purpose? And, you know, you're not using it for any kind of commercial or business purpose. And they'll send you all these waivers and stuff you gotta sign, and like be really thorough about it. And I'm like, dude, seriously, I'm just using it for POV, you know? Now, as far as like these cars, they drive really smooth, and I think they have air shocks in them because of all the weight that they're carrying in the back with the coffins. Could weigh up to like 300 pounds with a coffin and a body. But they come with all the luxury options, you know, power windows, power door locks. This one's really old. It doesn't have a remote that could be put in. Also, you know, it's got like power mirrors and stuff. So basically, like your general luxury car is what they are. It's a luxury car. And, you know, it's got cruise control, and like, even though it's an old car, it has like all kinds of normal stuff, adjustable tilt wheel. And you've got your fuses right here on the side of the dash. Really good AC and heat. And, you know, it usually comes with like a faux wood paneling, which is like plastic. And then like, you know, you got your, like plastic dash that looks kind of leather, and, really comfortable seats. Although, you know, they don't back up very far. They do lean a little bit. You could pull it forwards and be really tight. Up to the dash and then lean back a little bit, or you can pull it all the way back and have lots of room, which is what I do, and have them kind of straight. And it is, of course, you know, luxury car, so it's going to be automatic transmission. Now, one thing about hearses is I don't think that anyone actually makes a hearse straight out of the factory. They're usually conversions. I think they all are, by a conversion company, funeral coach company that converts them into hearse. Now, the Buick Roadmaster wagon is actually a station wagon that's been converted, but they do have Buick Roadmaster sedans as well from that time. So I think basically what it gets is an all leather top. It gets these little ornaments put on here. They're going to rip out all the seats that were in here and the back seat storage space, and put in this deck and these rollers, which raises it up a bit. And also the inside ornamentation stuff. And you're also going to get your funeral curtain windows, funeral window curtains. And also this is where you put your tire, in this storage space below the deck. See how it's been raised up? Like the seats would have been all the way down to here, but now there's like storage space under there. And also this back piece is going to be put in to separate you from this back area right here. Another thing is that you know, the little things to open the door from the inside, all that gear is going to be gone. And also they disable your automatic windows that could roll down. I think that you could hook those back up. Maybe it's just a fuse that's been pulled out, and have those rear windows roll down again, which honestly I think would be pretty cool. This model also comes with like a cigarette lighter and ashtray, that fold in, and then cup and change holder. One thing is that these cup holders are not very good, and you put your drink right here and you go around a corner, it's going to flip out and blow up all over the ground. If your hearse has a bad smell inside, pull these out and shampoo these in the driveway with like some Dawn dishwasher soap or some washing machine soap for like fabric, and clean these out, and your hearse will smell so much better, because I swear people's coffee has dumped into here, and milk, it's the milk fermenting in the carpet that makes the hearse smell bad. Honestly, I've smelt that smell. My hearse came with it. I didn't know what it was for a long time. It was just the carpets. I've smelt that same smell in other people's hearses. Then one day my coffee did a somersault into the floor. Luckily the lid didn't come off, but it made me realize, oh, it's fermented milk in the carpet, because these aren't good cup holders. Now the radio system, I don't put it in. It's got a power antenna that goes up and down every time, but it's because the AM frequency, it doesn't come in very well. It's just got a little CD player in there. I like to listen to radio, so it's got like a humming that comes from the engine. And there's a little part you can buy off of eBay that hooks to the antenna wiring that's supposed to get rid of that sound. I think sometime I'll just take it into a shop and have them do that. Fix it up with like a new radio or something and have them diagnose it. But it's really annoying. The faster the engine goes, the more you hear the humming, and it just destroys the radio for you. So there's not a lot of viewing area back there for backing up. And look at those huge blind spots, especially right there, right? So if you're turning, making a right turn to merge into a right lane, that's all that you get to see is there in your little mirror. And those mirrors I feel like they're too small. It's hard to tell if somebody is right there. So huge blind spot for turning, merging to the right. The left isn't so bad, because really you can just look out your window alongside the car like that and look out your mirror. You're right close to the mirror, so it's not a big problem. Also back there, when you're backing up and you're trying to come around and you got these huge blind spots, it's kind of hard. You don't ever want to have to back up in this thing at all if you can help it. But since I pull it into my driveway, I have to at least here. Out in public, you'll want to park way out in the nosebleeds. You don't want to be parking by your car and like banging their door into your car. Also, you'll want to pull all the way forwards into the lane, the parking spot, so that you can just pull out straight. Because if you're in a grocery shopping center or something like that, and you have to like back this thing up, and there's cars going back and forth and people, and like you're all crowded with cars on right and left and behind you, it's a very dangerous situation. It can be really hard to get out, because there's just not, all your visibility has been ruined by putting in this coach kit. So that being said, see how I've removed the window curtain there, and I've removed the window curtain there. Right here, I leave it in because you don't really look out that window. I love the curtains, but it's very important if you're driving these to remove those two curtains. Another hearse driver told me that. Otherwise, you're really going to have serious problems like backing up or merging to the right. And also these cars, of course, are, they're a really huge car. They're like a boat, I mean, it's like driving a bus around town, So yeah, it's not like, I usually drive compact cars, so it's a million miles difference there, right? All in all, I wouldn't worry about it. You really get the hang of it after a while, like, after driving it like 3 or 4 months, and then you start getting the hang of like merging and also backing up and stuff like that, although I still avoid backing up as much as possible. And you can get a auto cover for it. Just put in your year, make, and vehicle, and you can get an auto cover that covers this whole thing for like $60 off of eBay. So that's really worth having. Another thing to watch out for is if you have to replace the front window, because mine, it was cracked when I bought it, and it kept getting worse as the weather heated it up and then like cooled it down. When they replace the window, because of this leather right here, it's really hard for them to do it for some reason. And the guy that sold it to me had problems with his too, where on the top, and this can happen to any car, on the top the seal was good, and then it sat out in the heat for like 3 months, and the seal, like the sealant caulking, like shrank up. And then I went to I was cleaning it, and it just started raining inside, just the water just raining down through this top part. So that can be a real problem. Be very careful about replacing that, and don't be surprised if after 3 months, you know, when you feel like it's too late to go back, it starts like water coming down into the interior and getting into the headliner. And don't let that go on, because it'll rust. This stuff, you'll see it like start bubbling up and rusting underneath here and pushing this stuff up, and you just don't want to destroy your car. You can take it back to a place and they'll diagnose it and like re-put it in, but it's going to cost you more money. Now, originally these cars can cost like $80,000 to $100,000 new. So, you know, sometimes people will have like some old rust bucket that doesn't even run, and they want like $50,000 for it or something crazy. Don't pay more than like $2,000 for one of these. Just find the right people. With old cars, don't ever buy a fixer-upper where it's got problems and you're gonna have to fix this, that, and the other, because every repair that you do is gonna cost like at least $1,500 per repair, and pretty soon you start with a $2,000 car, and all of a sudden you've spent like $30,000 on it, and you'd be lucky to sell it for $2,000. It doesn't make sense to fix up old cars. Just get one that's in a good condition. If you get one through people that got it straight from a funeral home and it was maintained, then you know you pay $2,000 and you're good from there. Another thing that's really important is, will it pass emissions? You know, I don't know. You know, this one. Usually try to get one that, like, you know, within a year's time it has passed emissions. This one, I think it had been like down for like 3 years or something. And also, if something's been sitting around for you know, 5 or 10 years or something, it might be destroyed, the engine and transmission. You know, if those fluids weren't drained and it's just been sitting there, all those fluids dry up and the engine transmission are destroyed, you know. But I think this had been sitting for a couple years. I don't know, maybe they ran it here and there, I'm not sure, but it's been fine. And it passed emissions, so there wasn't any problems with it. I was surprised it wasn't hard to pass emissions. So you know, as long as all the sensors are working and it's been maintained, it's going to pass emissions just fine. If you have lights on the dash, then there might be different sensors you need to replace, and sensors are really easy to replace, honestly. You just screw it in and, you know, plug in the back and you're done. It's like a 5-minute job. So here's what the engine looks like. You know, so I don't know, it's not perfectly clean. I guess I could clean it or something, but you know, it's in really good shape, and it runs, and I don't really have any issues, and passes emissions, so who knows, right? It's not like have any timing issues or anything like that. But I mean, again, it only has 116,000 miles on it. So an engine like this for these cars should easily like make it to let's say 200 to 250,000 miles before they really start having any problems. So at 116,000, like, you know, it's, even though it's 30 years old, 32, it's still like new, you know. Also, these are V8 fuel injection engine. The gas is, honestly, it's not bad at all. I wouldn't go on a road trip on it, but just drive around town, it's like not bad on gas. Now for the 91 Roadmaster wagon, which remember was originally a station wagon, you know, it could probably haul like 8 or 10 people in there, and a lot of weight is what it would haul. So it had a V8 engine. It was one of their best engines at the time, like a really powerful engine, and it could be fast and haul a lot of weight. But they kind of turned it into a luxury car by giving it a transmission that's like a slower transmission that's geared for just kind of grandma driving around the place. Usually that's what I do because I babied the car and it's got a lot of weight to pull, so I'll just drive it around really slow. But if you want to, like, you know, like floor it and jet around the place all the time, it'll do that too. It's just you know, it's not good for engine wear and tear, but it does have that speed if you need it. Okay, something to know about driving a hearse though is if you get into this back compartment, the gear has been taken out for you to get back out. And on the doors back there, it's got 2 more doors, but all the unlocking gear has been removed. So if you get in here in one of these hearses, you could get locked in the back, and you're not going to climb through that teeny little window that you can slide only halfway open. Good luck, maybe if you're really thin, you know. But there is a thing right here. If you push this down, this actually will unlock it. But I wouldn't get in here and shut the door regardless ever, because, you know, what if you get locked in there and it could get really hot back there, like, you know, during the day, and that could be a huge problem. As you see, there's you know, maybe if you ripped all this stuff out and you pulled on the right thing, you could maybe get out. But, you know, see, all this gear has been pulled out of there. And this back window only slides halfway. So I don't know how you get out, right? To that window. That's kind of small. I mean, maybe I could fit through there. I'm not going to do the experiment, right? Now, also, the funeral caskets, you don't just want them bouncing around in here. It's got this crank down lock that fits into this pegboard that goes all the way up. And when you're not using it, you stick it right there when you don't have a casket back here. And it's also got rollers all the way down and going right and left and all over. So it's easy to roll these funeral caskets into there. And there's also a stopper at the front end. So there's the front coffin lock, and some more rollers. So in conclusion, like, is it affordable? Is it something that you could afford to own a hearse? Yeah, it's really affordable, and I would only get liability on it. Like, if you destroyed it or something in a car wreck, then it's only $2,000 to go buy another one, you know? So it's not a big deal to me, at least, you know, if you know the right people. And it drives like a luxury car. And as far as like driving it being this big boat with these huge blind spots, you get used to it. At first, you want to be very careful because, yeah, it can be a real pain at first to learn how to deal with this big car. And as far as visibility, the best thing to do is you can get an LCD screen that fits over here, and the ones with the widest screen area is ones where the line's going to run all the way up through the canopy all the way to the backing camera is a direct line. They also have ones where your stereo could pop up, and it has a little face that could also show you what's going on behind you for rear backing. So one of those options, but then it would be, they have real wide view cameras, and it would be much easier to see what's going on behind the car. But otherwise, it's not too bad to drive around once you get used to it anyways. One last thing about driving a hearse is you're going to get a lot of weird questions all the time. People are going to think that you literally work for a funeral home or something like that. When they see you, they're going to ask you like, oh, did somebody die? What happened? Like crazy stuff. And you're just like, well, I'm just driving my car. Like, there's nothing happening, And, people ask you if there's a dead body in the back, or if it's haunted, or if it creeps you out to drive in it, or, or like people will look at you really weird. There's people really trip out on it. And, unless you put like, stickers all over it that you're part of a car club or something, people are just going to think that, oh, there's that guy that works for the funeral home. He's always got a dead body in the back because there's a coffin back there, And I'm sure if you get pulled over, they're really going to think you're weird. So you have to explain why you drive a hearse around to a sheriff person that doesn't understand what you're doing, that you're just weird. I don't know, right? Just tell them you're weird. Right. But anyways, I love it. And a lot of times I'll be driving along and people are flagging me down and they're like, I want to buy it, I'm ready to buy. I'm like, dude, I'm not selling my car, man. Like, just keep going, man. Right? I don't have a for sale sign on this thing, but people will just be flagging me down like, how much, man? I'll buy it right now. So I mean, some people love them and some people are really creeped out, and then a lot of times you'll be surprised, like a lot of people will be too creeped out about the car to even want it around, or they'll be freaked out if you roll up in their driveway with it or anything. So some people just really don't want anything to do with it. Something else that's weird is like when I got it, it was taken from a funeral home and then to this guy's house, and that was sold to me. And it had body bags in the back that had like like blood-like fluids on the body bags, like biohazards back there. So I just put on some gloves, pulled them out, and threw them away. Whatever. Really doesn't bother me, but it's just a weird thing. That it just reminds you that these are really real hearses that were used for who knows how many funerals, and it's so don't be surprised, if there's something weird in there like that when you buy it.